Well, hello guys. Today we're going to look at part 2 for exploring transformations. And it says there that you want to perform an indicated transformation on the given graph. So the transformation that we want to make is make a horizontal translation 2 units to the left. Horizontal translation 2 units to the left. Now, when you guys have horizontal translation, that means that you are going to change the x values. So let me circle the word horizontal. You're going to change the x values. So once you have the table, and let's go ahead and make a table here, you're going to change the x values. So we have the x, the y values, and I'm just looking at the points. The first point is this one here. So it's going to be -2, -1. The next one is -1, 2. And then we have 1, -1. And the last one is 2, 1. 2, 1. Now since we're going to change the x values, and it says you want to make a translation 2 units to the left. Left means you're going to the negative. You can think about it from the origin. You go to the negative side. So left means subtract. So you're going to make a column next to the x, and you're going to subtract 2 from x. 2 from x. So the first x is -2. So -2 minus 2. That's going to equal -4. So that's the first x. And the next one is -1 minus 2. That's going to be -3. 1 minus 2, -1. 2 minus 2 is 0. So you're going to plot the points, not the middle column, but you're going to plot the new x's that we have and the y values. The y didn't change. You just made it an horizontal translation. So you plot the points at -4, 1. Oops, I'm looking that I made a mistake here. This is supposed to be negative. So -4, -1 is here. -3, 2 is right up here. -1, -1 is right here. And 0, 1 is here. And then you just plot the points. You make the same shape. You didn't change the size. You just may change the direction, position of the graph. And if you guys notice, those points move to the left 2 units. So 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2. So that's what happens when you make an horizontal translation. If it says vertical translation, that means you're going to change the y values. So if you had vertical instead of horizontal, you are going to add or subtract to the y's, and it's going to say up or down. Since it's vertical, vertical is up and down, so you change the y values if it says vertical. But let's try another one. On this one it says make a vertical stretch. Now it's a little bit different than vertical translation. Vertical stretch by a factor of 2. That means that you are going to change the y values first of all. So by making a vertical stretch, you are going to change, and let me underline the word vertical. It says stretch, okay? So you're going to change the y, and when you have stretch, first of all, the factor is greater than 1. You have to know that the factor is greater than 1, and it is more than 1. It's 2 in this case. And you're going to multiply. When you have stretch or compression, you're going to multiply. So in this case, you're going to multiply the y values. And we're going to use the same table we had right now. We have the same graph. So we have -2, -1. We have -1, 2. And then 1, -1. And 2, 1. So I'm going to multiply the y's. I'm going to make a column next to the y by 2. That's a factor given to us. So you just multiply. 2 times -1, which is the first y, that's going to be -2. The next one is going to be 4. You multiply, multiply, and multiply. So you're just going to graph the x values didn't change, and you're going to graph the new y values. So -2, -2, -2, -2 is right here. -1, 4, way over here. 1, -2, and we have 2, 2, 2, 2. So you make your same shape. I know my lines are not straight, but that is a vertical stretch. Stretch is when you pull, when you make something, you can say longer. So vertical, up and down. So imagine you just took the black graph and you pull this way and this way, so up and down. Now on this one, it says reflect across the y-axis. So since it says reflect across the y-axis, you guys reflect across the y-axis. You guys are going to change the x values. Now this one's a little bit tricky. You want to make a reflection across the y-axis. You're going to change the x values. You're going to change the sign of the x values. You do the opposite, right? So we have the x and the y again. Let me make the table again. So we have these points here, and we have a 2, 1. So 2, 1. So we're going to change the change the x values, and you're just going to change the sign. So meaning you're going to multiply by -1. So I'm going to put my table here, and I'm going to put -x. I change the sign. So this one becomes positive. The next x becomes positive, becomes negative, and the last x becomes negative. So you plot the points, not the middle column, but the new x and the y didn't change. So 2, -1, 1, 2, and then -1, -1, and -2, 1, and you make your shape. So you flip. That's what we did. We flip across the y-axis. If it says reflect across the x-axis, if it said x-axis, you guys need to change the sign of the y values. So you do the opposite. For the y-axis reflection, you change the x. Reflection across the x-axis, you change the y. Alright guys, so this is part 2. You guys can check part 1 in my other video, and make sure you guys are practicing.